Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is In the Game Kaya of ITGK Sports, and I'm here to show you Project 1964, the 1963-1964 roster complete in NBA 2K24 Next Gen. I believe this should be available for both PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, but I don't have an Xbox console or a friend with an Xbox console, so I can't check. But I do see cross-platform rosters appearing to show up in the roster list, so I'm hoping it shows up. So, how do you find this roster? Let's just start with assuming you want to play a Play Now game. You'll want to select Era's Quick Play on the menu, and then select the Bird and Magic era. And then here on the hot rosters list, it is right here, one down from the bottom of the list, the 63-64 roster. Or you can search for my username, GH_InTheGameKaya. And it should show up there, along with my other rosters if you search for other decades. The other rosters that I have up are not done yet, though. So if you start looking in other time periods or looking for my other roster projects, none of those projects are yet complete. I'll post videos on them when they're done. But now, I assume if you're doing this era's quick play, and yes, you're going to be using the 80s era gameplay and presentation package, you're probably going to want to use one of the real teams. So, let's just go over those real teams. There are 9 of them, and they are the Boston Celtics, the best team in the East, 59-21, with their best players being Bill Russell and Sam Jones, one of the greatest teams of all time. This team is stacked, although they don't seem to win the title in simulations for some reason. Instead, the Sacramento Kings usually have a tendency to win the title, behind MVP Oscar Robertson. These are real-life finishing and awards, by the way. And Rookie of the Year Jerry Lucas, who's the second best player on the team. Also in the East are the Philadelphia 76ers, who are currently looking to rebuild a little bit at 34-46 with Hal Greer and rookie Chet Walker. And then the New York Knicks don't really have anything. I've used them in a franchise that my brother and I are doing. Bob Boozer and Johnny Green, they don't have much talent to their names, so building them up is going to be a process. And maybe not the funnest team to use and play now. And then we also have, in the West, the finalists from the West, the San Francisco Warriors, in this case, the Golden State Warriors in the roster, led by Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond. So 2 great centers down there. Then the Atlanta Hawks, another quality team with Bob Pettit and Richie Guerin, who's getting a little bit older. That team is hanging on and trying to continue to compete, but they're looking at facing down a rebuild. The Los Angeles Lakers are on the come up with Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, both somewhat young, especially Jerry West, and looking to compete for several years, as they did with the Celtics in real life. Then at 31-49, Walt Bellamy and Gus Johnson on the Washington Bullets. And this team is a lot of fun, but they don't have much talent behind those guys. They need depth, bad. And then the Detroit Pistons at 23-57, the second worst team in the NBA in real life. Although they do have some talent, and they tend to overperform in simulations, led by Bailey Howell and Dave DeBusschere. So there's your overview of the teams that are available. Every other team that's in here, because there are 24 team slots, every other team is just full of generics. So those 9 teams are the only teams with real players. If you're going to play now, those are the 9 teams that you're going to want to pick from, and that's kind of a general overview of their talent. So if you wanted to set up a league or play quick play with a friend, here's how you're going to do it. You're going to go into the My NBA Eras menu and go over to the Magic and Bird era. Under the setup options, hit triangle or Y to open up the options list and make sure that you select custom roster so that you can select the 63-64 roster. And I also like to turn on draft storylines for generated and historic draft classes. That's up to you if you want to do that or not. Everything else is your choice, and now we're ready to pick the roster. Again, the same way we did before. It's one down from the opening list on the hot list, or I showed you how to search up the roster before. 1963-1964 roster. Select that, and you should be ready to go. Remember the list of real teams that I gave you earlier. You'll have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. You can also pick one of the other teams and start to rebuild. It's going to take you probably a good maybe 3 years for the talent to really disperse in the league and new talent to come in because of the way the contracts and everything are set up. So if you pick one of those other teams, just know that you might not have much to do those first couple of years if you pick a team that didn't exist back in 1964. Now, if you wanted to play quick play with a friend, you and him would load up in this online league. You'd sim to whatever game you were going to play and just play it against each other and you'd be done. But assuming you're actually going to set up the league for continued use and run multiple seasons, you're going to want these drafts. And they're on a different user profile because you only get 10 uploads per profile. And I've had to set up multiple secondary accounts to get this all done. Some of them I had already, some of them are my brother's, and some I did have to set up just for this project. But the draft classes that I've been working on currently are under ITG_2K. And these are compressed draft classes. It's 3 drafts at once, and let me explain why that is. So, the problem with the roster is how far back in history it is. There weren't as many players coming in drafts that were great back then, but there were fewer teams, so it all worked out fine back then. But with 24 team slots, you need talent in this league stat, like as fast as possible. And these drafts are not deep enough with players to make it to where you can just draft, pick 24th and still draft a player who's going to get any kind of playing time on your team. Well, I could fill it with a bunch of generics, but instead we're already starting technically 20 years behind 1984 when 2K thinks we should be playing, when it's actually 1964 because of the roster. So I compressed 30 years of drafts into 10. So you draft 3 years at a time, and by the time you get to 1993-94, you're back on a normal time scale. That allows you to get all the stars of the 60s, all the stars of the 70s, all the stars of the 80s, all the stars from the ABA, and the guys from the 90s. And a lot of them are going to be playing in the league at the same time, which is nuts. But, and if you don't want to do compressed drafts, you could just, I guess, fill with generic drafts or something, but honestly, I don't recommend that you do that. Most of these drafts, even though there's 3 years at a time, they don't really get to be that deep until the late 70s and early 80s. So, and eventually 1980s rosters and 90s rosters and stuff, like different starting points are going to get added in on this project as I continue to work my way down through history. So, an eventual uncompressed timeline starting in 1984 will be released. But, for the time being, if you're starting in 1964, I created these compressed draft classes to get you through the league on a compressed time scale until you catch up with NBA history in the early 90s. And then as you go on from there, everything will be normal again. So, it's only compressed for the first 10 years of the franchise, and especially with the dearth of talent that's in the league, that means that there's not much. I don't know if everybody knows what that word means. That means there's not much talent in the league. Not for 24 teams, anyway. Because of that, will be flooding the league with talent. And yes, it'll be a lot by the time all the drafts are over, but then all the generics will be out and be replaced with actual players and real talent. You'll be able to guarantee drafting quality starters regardless of where you draft in the draft. So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, I've got this team full of generics, and man, I got these draft picks, but I don't know if I'm going to get anyone good. You'll get someone that's at least okay. I can't guarantee that they're going to be great, but you'll get someone that's at least okay. But yeah, this is only going to be 10 drafts, and the ITG_2K drafts, they're all going to be these compressed time scale drafts, all 10 of them, up to 1994. Then I'll go back to 84, and on a different profile, start uploading draft classes from 1984 forward, uncompressed. And as I work on those, I'll keep posting updates on my channel, but I'll keep a list of the draft classes and the user profiles that they'll be on in the description down below, and as they get released, I will update the description in this video, so the description in this video should be up to date with what is done and allow you to see what's coming and what you can expect. Now, let's keep going here. So real quick, let's take a look at one of these draft classes. This is the one that I loaded in, and it's the first one you'll be using, I believe. And as you'll see, there's plenty of talent in this draft, but it's nothing too crazy. Several all-stars, pretty deep, but nothing you would think is out of the ordinary for like an average draft. Here's Rick Barry, who's the star of my brother's rebuilding San Antonio Spurs currently. And yeah, this draft goes like 30-ish players deep, and more get added as we get closer to the 1984, because there's more players that actually exist in 2K, and it's easier to build these rosters. But yeah, that gives you an idea of what you'll be seeing here. Here's another draft class that I loaded from a little bit later. This one, as you can see, has ABA players in it. Mel Daniels and Red Robbins, I believe, are both ABA players, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there are ABA players that correspond with their ABA rookie year. Even if they weren't drafted in the NBA, they're available in the draft classes for whatever their ABA rookie year was, as if they would have been drafted. It took me quite a bit of research. It was pretty slow going, but you know, Basketball Reference, it's a wonderful tool for things like this. And eventually, as you get to the bottom of the roster, you can see there's a significant talent drop-off, so generics are not going to be flooding this roster for you. One of the kinks with this roster is something I haven't completely worked out. The teams that are full of generics, I put them in their late 20s or early 30s for the most part, and that's supposed to keep them around just long enough for talent to replace them. But the first time I initially got the roster done, I had them too old, and so they phased out before new talent had completely come in. And so 2K, when that happens, will generate these random players that are like in the mid to high 70s with 90-something potential, and flood them into the league to fill in and make sure that there's talent in the league at all times. If that happens to you, you'll probably be able to pick them out because they probably got really weird accessories and are loaded from head to toe with tattoos. Feel free to edit them or just delete them from the roster. They're not supposed to be there, and they're not in the draft classes, so that's not what's going on. But yeah, I just thought, you know, in the event that that happens, you should probably know what's going on. That concludes my demonstration of Project 1964, the 1963-1964 roster for NBA 2K. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed playing with the roster. Again, I'll keep you updated with the draft classes down below. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of play now footage so you can see what it looks like, and I'm going to turn the error filter off because I know a lot of people don't like it. I usually play with it on, but for everybody else, I'll turn it off. And that's going to be it. This is a YouTube video. If you could do all the YouTube video things, I would very much appreciate it. My name is In The Game Kaya. of ITGK Sports. And thank you guys for watching.
But the day has finally arrived for basketball fans. It's opening day of a brand new NBA regular season.
It's nothing quite like the excitement of beginning the regular season, Kevin. It's one of my favorite days of the year, and this matchup here tonight should be a fun one.
And it's good, 2 points.
Really crashing that offensive glass, the instincts, the long arms, the quickness of jump. Russell kills you with second chance points.
Here is Rodgers. Chamberlain a screen, and he drives in, and a missed layup. And here's Russell. Here's Heinsohn. Outside, Jones. High post try, and he hits the jumper for 2.
He saw his opportunity and went right into attack mode. He'll take those mid-range openings whenever they're presented.
And to see him doing it at the start of the game is very encouraging for his team. Defense should have sent help. A size advantage down low makes for an easy 2 points.
Jones kicks to Jones. Passes it to Heinsohn. On the wing, Jones. 5 on the clock. Over Rodgers. Jones, no luck. And so just over a minute and a half played. Here's Phillips. Defended by Jones. Chamberlain against Sanders. The shot by Chamberlain, no good. For Boston, they've gone 2 for 4 from the field so far today. Outside, Jones. Goes up on the high post. That one's in. His first bucket of the game. He's 1 for 2.
And, you know, the ability to knock down the mid-range shot can be an equalizer against bigger defenders.
Absolutely. Draw them away from the rim where their size becomes a hindrance.
There's the pass to Heinsohn. First quarter of ball, almost 2.5 minutes in. Lets it fly from 18. On the basket by Jones.
A red-hot beginning to this game.
Well, he's a real good offensive player, so they want to get him going early.
Here's Rodgers. Here's Thurman. Back to Chamberlain. And Chamberlain with the stuff.
Tell you what, if you let Wilt get the ball there, that's the poster shot you can expect.
Pass to Heinsohn. Back to Jones.
2 minutes remaining in the first. 2 minutes.
1:58 left in the first. Here's Heinsohn. Chamberlain with the rebound. The Warriors trailing. Down low, Hightower. And foul on the shot. He'll shoot 2 at the free throw line. The Warriors shooting their first free throws of this game. The first one falls. Boston making some changes. Havlicek, he's checked in for Heinsohn. And Siegfried subbed in for Jones. And the Warriors making a change here. And it's tied up with that one.
Quite simply, he's automatic at the line.
For Boston, they've gone 4 of 7 from the field, shooting over 50%. To the middle. Here's Siegfried. Here's Havlicek. Almost, but it rolls out. Hill inside. Defended by Jones. Golden State moving it around. Here's Chamberlain. Banked in off the glass.
Yep, on the interior, Wilt's enormous size. Just too much to overcome, and certainly something that can't be taught.
Now here's Jones. Inside. Count the bucket, coming off a perfectly placed assist. Jones has got 6 points.
Boy, how about the confidence? I love watching him be that assertive down low.
And pin the blame on the defense there. You can't just give him an open layup.
Pass to Thurman. Hightower. Another shot. And the layup is up and in.
And, you know, Thurman is a dominant rebounder. He hits the glass with a lot of force.
Jones looking for an opening. Havlicek the pass to Siegfried. Here's Sanders. Chamberlain with the block. And he's able to get it back. He gets it in there. We've got 28 seconds left here in the opening quarter. And Hill has it in the corner. Here's Thurman. He's guarded by Russell. Pass to Chamberlain. Fades away. And there it is for him. He has 6.
Well, he could have earned some style points there, but he really doesn't need to use the fadeaway when he's that wide open.
Jones drives in over Hill.
Man, what a well-coordinated athlete at his size. To add that superior timing, hard to get shots over Wilt Chamberlain.
So at the end of 1 quarter of play, still a close game. Warriors lead by 2. We'll be back shortly live from Boston Garden.